Member Castle?
Here.
Everybody's here.
All right, I would entertain a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. That brings us to our scheduled and unscheduled visitors portion of the meeting. Here, I have a number of green cards. I have 6 green cards. It doesn't look like we have any more, so we should have plenty of time to hear all 6 of them. Although the board is not legally required to offer public comment, we believe it's an important part of community interaction and have included it on tonight's agenda. We ask that speakers keep their comments relevant to the indicated agenda item, be respectful, avoid personal comments about board members, and refrain from sharing private or sensitive information. This process is non-interactive. We request that everyone present be respectful of commenters and refrain from making their own comments or applauding to help keep things moving. Speakers will have 3 minutes. The clerk will give notification to speakers as their time is expiring, and the chair will strike the gavel once your time has expired. I have shuffled the deck of green cards and will call speakers by first name and last initial. Please be ready when it is your turn. We will start with Claire L., and we'll have Diane S. on deck.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Claire Luger. I'm a proud parent of 3 Foresight graduates, a graduate myself, a former educator in the district, as well as a voting and tax-paying community member. I've lived in Wyoming nearly my entire life, and I've been honored to serve my community in an elected role. I'm here again tonight because I believe deeply in the value of public education, as equally the value of public trust. I'm here tonight to speak about Agenda Item 7.2, which has been updated from the shady as well as illegal backroom crafted agenda item for the not yet vacant seat without any process, community knowledge, or regard for state statute or legal opinion, to an agenda item that determines a process for filling a vacancy as of 11:59 tonight. It is an insult to our students, staff, and community, and completely unacceptable that it required regional media coverage and a potential lawsuit to respect the law enough to entertain a more appropriate and transparent process that follows basic democratic principles. This is a strategy that no civics or other social studies teacher in this district would ever promote to our students. In establishing a process to fill the vacant seat as of 11:59 tonight, parents, teachers, and students deserve to know that decisions affecting their schools are made openly, honestly, and with their voices in mind. When a seat on this board becomes vacant, the process to fill it must not just follow the rules, it must honor the spirit of open government through transparency, inclusiveness, and the respect of the people you serve. This community deserves to see how decisions are made and who is being considered and why. Trust is earned through transparency. When a school board member is replaced, it's not just an administrative process. The people and staff of this district are not outsiders to be informed after the fact. We are partners in shaping the district of our schools, and we deserve better than dirty tricks. The initial approach taken to fill a non-existent vacancy has created suspicion, embarrassment, and eroded trust that now must be overcome. I hope that going forward, every member of this board will commit to a process that the public can see, understand, and participate in from the start to finish. I hope that every member of this board will commit to following state statute and MSBA guidance. We teach our students that integrity means doing the right thing even when no one's watching. But in this case, the community is most certainly watching. You have a responsibility to show them that the board lives by the same standards that we expect from our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Diane S., and on deck will be Jane R.
I'm Diane Smith, and I just want to say thanks to Luke. You've done a great job, and I'm proud of you. And you spoke up for a lot of us who don't have a voice because we're not on the board, but we support everything you've done, and we're really very appreciative of that. One thing comes to mind, I could list a lot. There was something that was voted on that I don't think was fully maybe understood what the board was voting on, because the outcome was not what they wanted or what was intended, and it was around students having groups or something like that. Anyway, but you came back, Luke, and you said, should we have a revote? Because you felt and you sensed that some of the board members were not happy with the way they voted, because they didn't understand that that meant maybe no groups or whatever it was, something like that. Anyway, that was integrity, and I really appreciated that. And I know the board members really appreciated that too, so thank you. On the fact that you are resigning, and I just looked up the law because I had a feeling it might stir some upset, as Claire had mentioned, and the law, there's a statute that clearly states that the board gets to come together and not have a special election, but they can have a regular board meeting about who is appointed and that you can vote on that. So hopefully I read the law correctly. Maybe I can send it to you. I don't know. You probably already have it, but there is a statute that backs up hopefully what you're going to be doing tonight. So, and good luck to you, Dr. Massey. Thank you for serving. And I know we didn't always meet eye to eye on some things, but we did meet eye to eye on other things. And you were always so good about meeting with me and talking it over. I had a lot of concerns, but you were always so patient. You always set the tone very beautifully, and I am appreciative of that. So thank you. And good luck to you too.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you, Diane. Jane R. On deck is Dean E.
Good evening. I'm Jane Ryder, and first of all, I want to thank you for the letter that you had sent down to the Capitol about the Title IX. I understand that there are some of you on the board that disagreed with the signature. What you need to realize is when you have young men and women competing together, biologically, there is a big difference between a male and a female. Muscular, bone structure, even here, the thinking. Men tend to be a little more aggressive, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but that is just the way they operate. And to put a young man in with girls in a particular sport does not work. And I appreciate you sending that letter, and I fully support that young men and young women should not be in the same sport together where there is physical contact. I care about the women and the girls. I care about the young men and the men. But you have to be careful. Physiologically, biologically, there is a difference. And I value both of them, but I want safety first. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jane. Dean E. And on deck, I reshuffled deck here, I received another one. It's John S.
Okay. Let's remind the board chair, it has to be germane to what's on the agenda for tonight. You usually are so good about reminding people of that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We were back there reminding, yeah, we agree, that's not on the agenda. Thank you, board, for your service. I want to just acknowledge that you guys have been, I admire all of you for being willing to step up and do this role. But I want to especially thank Luke tonight and appreciate your efforts. Exactly what Diane said earlier about recalling that situation where you spoke up for the board saying, hey, let's re-vote on this and let's make sure we knew what we were voting on. I thought that was a really good example to set for everybody, so thank you for that. I wasn't thinking about Dr. Massey as this being close to his end of his time here, but thank you so much. You've listened to me nicely, and thank you. But yeah, so mostly I wanted to thank Luke and thank you all for your willingness to serve in this way. Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Dean. And that's a good reminder from board members. Please keep it germane to the agenda. John S. and Jenny R.
I don't know if this is germane to the agenda, but I believe that handing out brochures or handouts during a meeting or before or within a meeting is not ethical. I cannot say one way or the other that I am for or against Title IX issues, but I do not agree with having information passed out to people in the audience to show within a board meeting. I don't think they should be at the table, and they were handed out. Maybe outside. You can't do that at elections. You can't do that anywhere else. I do not think that is an ethical procedure to have at a meeting. Thank you.
All right, thank you. John, Jenny R., and on deck will be Daniel T.
Hi, I'm Jenny. It's good to see everybody. I'm really excited that we're going to have a new board member come on, and I really hope to know nothing about their religion, nothing about their politics. It's a nonpartisan position, and I hope whoever is there will sit and look at the people talking just as you are right now, because it's very obvious, some body language when some people are up here, that you're too busy, don't care. Your body language speaks more than your words sometimes, and you don't look as a whole, as invested in the community. And I really hope whoever your new board member is invested in listening to the community, wants to hear what we have to say, comes with an open mind, does not just have these are what I stand for and only what I will do. I hope that whoever comes doesn't make it a 4-3 split on either side. Come in the middle and be somebody of the community that we can respect and that we can be proud to have on our board. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That brings us to our final green card here, Daniel T.
Good evening. Just wanted to, 7.1, I wanted to say thank you, Luke, for your service and just honor you for your time commitment and all the board, really. I mean, that's a huge sacrifice to families to be away from every month throughout the month. And thank you, Dr. Massey, for just your amazing dedication to the district. So just wanted to wish you the best. And as they've said before, thanks for, I have a 9-year-old daughter, so thank you for protecting our girls and sending that letter. I appreciate that as well.
All right, thank you, Daniel. That will conclude our scheduled and unscheduled visitors, and will bring us to the committee reports. We'll start with committee report on 9/16, and that one is mine. Very short update for you this month. We had a presentation on the language access plan. As some of the board will undoubtedly know here, the language access plan is something that's required this year. The 916 community includes families who speak over 40 different languages, and that kind of came as a surprise to me. And these families represent 26% of the district. We had a first reading on that, just so we can ask any questions prior to bringing it for approval in November. And I suspect we will have our own language access plan coming in November as well here at Forest Lake. And then we, as we do here pretty much every meeting, we had some policy work, very light on the policy side of things, first reading and a couple of minor approvals, minor changes. The last thing that I can really speak to is we had insurance renewals. We accepted 2-year contracts from Health Partners to provide health insurance. There was a 9.4% aggregate premium increase for the calendar year of 2026 and a rate cap of 12% for 2027. They're also working with Health Partners, and they had an 11.9% increase for calendar year 2026 and no rate cap for 2027 just because of the volatility in dental. I point out the renewals and the rates just to help us put it into perspective when we're talking about our local rate caps for our insurance plans here at Forest Lake. It's something to keep in mind that this is something that other districts are looking at as well. And their rate caps were nearing double digits too. Any questions or comments on 916? All right, seeing none, we will move to buildings and grounds. Director Renberg-Eide.
tonight at the Buildings and Grounds meeting, we did a conversation about the wrap-up of Phase 2 at the high school. Very excited that if graduation decides to be rainy, we have our air conditioning for our main gym. So, yes, lots in the making. But project is complete there. Education Center, we're on our flush and fill of our boiler system, and so that'll happen through Friday, and then hopefully if it comes clean, then we'll be able to fill that system and get that fully operational. We went on to Wyoming Elementary, will be next summer's plan, so the HVAC work in the center of the building, along with some additional work in the building, bathrooms, painting, things like that. And then we reviewed the proposed preliminary levy information within that, and ended with maintenance items from our Buildings and Grounds supervisor.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Member
I
Tyson?
have a question, but thank you for that report. I just want to add that, you know, we've been through some hot graduations with big graduating classes that are stuffed in there. Very uncomfortable and awkward for the families. It's just not good. But also, we hold the big thing in there, and that as well is very hot. So there's other events that take place in there that it's really hot and very crowded, which we're very happy we have that now, and that was at the very end, and it's completed. So thank you for all your work on that.
Member Corder?
I can echo that too. As we've been asking for many, I don't know, how many years have we been asking? Director Martini for 10 years, I don't even know,
That's
many
what I was
years. But
thinking.
that just makes me happy for the parents too, in case of rain. And just that we have that availability now, because it can get over almost 100 degrees in there. It's been incredibly
It's
difficult
an asset
be
to our
in there.
community, and we're
It
really
really
excited for
is,
it.
but thank you. Yeah, I'm so glad it's all done, but thank you.
Yeah, I would concur. I mean, we will continue to pray that we do not need to use the interior space for graduation, but it is nice to have that as a backup. If there aren't any other questions or comments, we can move directly to Director Renberg, i.e. for Finance.
Finance night, we reviewed our final dates for the audit. The auditors were out October 6th through the 8th and completed all the rest of the tasks on the list. We did get our final trial balance to the auditors this afternoon, so we should be all set for the November Finance Committee meeting to have Jackie Hegel for LB Carlson come in and present that information. And then the December 4th board meeting is our goal, to get the audit to everyone. We did do the run rates, so our budget for 26 and how we're doing. Everything looked really great there. And then again, reviewed the preliminary tax levy. That will come as the Truth in Taxation hearing on December 9th, and then the board will vote to certify that levy later that evening. It will be at 6 p.m. People will get their tax notices that lays out all those taxes. We did also review our surrounding cities. So we see that our increase somewhere in the 2 to 3% range. Cities looking at closer to near double digits. So it is a good thing to look at your tax statement, make sure if you have any questions about it, there's a phone number right on it. It's my desk phone, so give me a call, and we'll be able to walk you through if you see any changes that you're questioning on your tax statements.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for Finance? All right, seeing none, we will move to Director McKinnon for Communications.
Good evening. At our Communications Committee meeting this evening, we talked about crisis communication and in-the-moment communication. We talked about the array of situations that certainly can come up, anything from small to quite extensive. And the process that we use, certainly if it were an on-site process, it's getting a hold of Dr. Massey, getting a hold of Director Friedman if necessary, bringing Renee into the mix, and then really utilizing a teamed approach when it comes to what the messaging is going to be. Talking about the who, the what, the when, the how the messaging is going to go out, and also following our crisis manual that we have in a community. We have a communications checklist. One of the things that we talked about is how over the last 10 years we really have come a long way in ensuring that we are not making it up as we go along, but we have a really solid, sound procedure that we follow. We know that not all scenarios impact or are affecting all families, but there are some scenarios that come up that will be relevant to all families. So we want to make sure that the communication that the district puts out it's timely, it's accurate, it says what it needs to say, but it's also done in a fashion where folks can get what they need, and then we address any follow-ups. We also talked tonight briefly about the district annual report that is actually at the post office and ready to go out. It's actually at the printer, so it will be at the post office soon, and families, households in the district can be expecting those hopefully in the near future.
All right, thank you, Director McKinnon. Any questions or comments?
I have something to add. So, Director McKinnon, I really liked how you said that communication is our relationship with our community. And we do a really good job of that. And I think you talked a lot about that team approach and the importance of that, how you need input from all those sides. And then Renee works out the messaging, and it's got that concise, same tone, same feel. And I hear really positive comments about our messaging, our communications, how they're fast, they're effective, they're easy to read. People can digest and synthesize what's being said to them, which is important when it's something that could be a crisis or could be something fearful of in their building or of their students.
And just like everything else we do, it's very collaborative.
Right.
If a situation comes up, say at the Ed Center, and I'm there working through that, my brain might be going in a couple of different directions, but then we get the team around that situation, and it's what about this, what about that, and then we do get that singular voice, if you will, that's consistent, that our families are used to getting, so that they can interpret and understand what's going on, and be responsive to the situation at hand.
Well, thank you. And Renee Reedy, kudos to her. She does an excellent job as our communication director.
Yeah, she's the best.
Yeah.
All right, seeing no additional questions or comments, we'll move to Curriculum and Instruction. Director Jacobson.
Chair Ribbeline, members of the board, Dr. Massey, thanks for having me. At our Curriculum, Instruction, and Equity Committee meeting tonight, Dr. Brad Ward, who is our secondary curriculum coordinator, also overseeing our assessment system within the school district, gave a pretty thorough explanation of our overall assessment plan with a special emphasis on MCA tests and how they are informed by state standards. State standards released every 10 years, and then a process that our district and other districts like ours go through in order to align their curriculum and their teaching with those standards so that students are prepared to do well on the test. We took sample MCA questions that are put out on the Minnesota question tool that you can go and see for yourself at any time. And teachers use these to help prepare students for the rigor of the MCA test. The curriculum review teams use them to help understand what our assessments, the rigor of those assessments and how they can inform what we do on our own assessments. Board Member Tyson and Board Member Castle got an opportunity to look at sample questions, MCA Series 3 in both reading and in math, and then MCA Series 4 in science. And we talked about how in the science test, the test is adaptive, and students go through and they'll input data and get different tables based on the data that they input, and have to make conclusions or draw inferences or apply that learning on the test. And so we did a pretty deep dive on that and left all of our board members or our members of the committee with the ability to take some of those sample items home and continue to look at them.
Thank you, Director Jacobson. Did Member Tyson or Member Castle meet proficiency?
That's
private data.
I'll be looking forward to having them turn in their assessments at the next board meeting, and if you need, I could probably produce a report on that.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you. Are there any actual real questions or comments?
I have one.
Yes, Member Tyson.
Well, I just want to say that, I asked Dr. Ward when it was that Forest Lake area schools had the highest test scores in science. And it wasn't that long ago, because remember my younger daughter was in school, so it was like 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that this year, in comparison, our science test scores look really high again at our high school.
Yeah, at the high school.
Pretty proud of that.
They haven't released a distribution of all Minnesota districts have done on the science test. But we've been curious to compare our results with metro area districts. We were able to find one that did have a proficiency rate above the students here at high school, but just our high school, but just one district is the only district we found. Yeah. So our students at the high school did fairly well on that science test. And again, I think what we saw during the committee, and maybe you and Member Castle might have some thoughts about, is what students are asked to do on the Series 4 test is even more complicated, more application-based. What I think that our community is looking for out of education, in terms of students being able to apply skills, than what even we see on some, like the MCA Series 3 in reading and in math. So.
There's a lot that goes into it.
Member Castle.
So one of the unfortunate things that we discovered is that they are no longer, unless you have an IEP, offering paper to do these tests. And it was mentioned by a committee member that it's actually better to have paper. People retain things better than they are if they do it electronically. So that is, perhaps you can lobby for that to move that around, although there were things that, it was interactive. That's hard to do on paper, but you could set up an experiment and do it that way.
Yeah, Member Castle is correct. So statewide, the requirement is that all students take the tests on a computer unless they have an accommodation written within their IEP. I think in part that's probably done to keep the scoring of the assessments costs down and to get data back to school districts more quickly. But there is a downside to that for sure. Students typically have done historically better on a paper pencil assessment than on a computer-based assessment.
She didn't provide the research, but there is research around that.
Yeah.
I'd like to read more about that. Yeah, good point.
All right, any additional questions or comments here? All right, seeing none, we'll bring Director Friedman. You're very popular this evening in policy.
Well, I guess it helps to have interesting topics, I guess. Okay. Well, we had two not so interesting topics that you will see coming to you. There's just a couple of very minor changes in our mandatory reporting of maltreatment of children policy that come out of the statute. There is also a preliminary renumbering as we look to the larger set of renumbering. Our other that policy is in the 500s right now. MSBA has it in the 400s. Call if you have questions. It's easier that way. And the other one is the mandatory reporting of maltreatment of vulnerable adults, which is another obligation that school personnel have. We have adult students who may be vulnerable adults, and also that those duties extend to the community. We also did undertake the student attire portion of the discipline policy, and that yielded a couple of kinds of pieces of conversation. One will be a broader conversation ongoing. We'll figure out whether that's, before it comes back or maybe it's after it comes back. I'm not quite sure at this point. And the other point having to do with the types of apparel a student wears and how much of one should one reveal when one is in public. I think is about the best way to summarize that. Okay. The other, of course, you've wrangled with at length. You've heard a great deal of feedback from. And I think how I would characterize what the committee tried to do was to try to honor what the board has said it wanted, and also trying to strike a way to honor what many community members have said they want. So you'll see a recommendation from the committee come forward, and I am sure you'll have some more conversation about that at this table. But that is sort of where the bulk of the committee landed. I cannot say that it was completely uniform.
All right, thank you. Does the committee, I guess my first question would be, is the committee ready to send 515 back to us, or is there some more review needed?
I think so. I'm going to actually ask my board partners if, I think we can do that,
Okay.
if you agree to that. I think we can do that without doing the other portion right now. I think that we can concur to revisit that as we go forward, unless you have
Okay.
disagreement.
Well, I would just add that, if the committee's not comfortable quite yet, then retain it and continue the discussion on it. We want to get that right. We want that to be,
There were also conversations, though, that if we're going to make some changes in the other portion, those maybe should not be a right-of-way sort of thing, because
okay.
sometimes families make purchasing decisions based upon certain expectations, and saying to a family that, well, maybe some of the things you purchased aren't what, yeah. So it might not be for a while if we do that.
Yep, that makes sense. Yeah,
so-
I see where you're going, and in
Yeah.
fact, that was one of the reasons that we started looking at this in March or April when we first brought it up, was to
Right.
give families the summer to adjust to whatever changes might need to be made. So it all makes sense to me. Do any other board members have any questions? Member Tyson?
Well, so can you clarify purchasing items? I'm not following
Clothing.
that. I'm not on the committee.
Clothing, there is a,
Clothing,
there-
okay.
there was a concern voiced that maybe some of the styles that we permit, while they might be popular and certainly are the fashion of the day, may not be the thing to do, and then there were alternative viewpoints voiced as well, as one might expect. So, okay.
And then you referenced that a recommendation would be coming forward. Is that coming with 515, or, I didn't understand that.
Yeah,
Okay.
a recommended form of 515.
Recommended form.
Yeah.
Okay.
That I would phrase as general consensus of the committee,
Okay.
although I will be clear that that is not a 100%, everyone is on board.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Member Corcoran?
Can I ask, it was a majority of the board, though, that moved it forward?
Committee.
Well,
Or the
yeah.
committee, that's what I
I-
meant.
The
And
way
I'm just
we
wondering if
try
it
to
was-
operate, the way that we have tried to operate is if there is essentially a pretty significant feeling that can be,
Agreement?
that it can be said, yeah, a good bulk of the group
Okay.
would recommend this.
Okay, that's good. All right, thank you.
Member Christensen?
Well, just to your point, since we were just in the meeting, I would say, an overwhelming, amount of the committee made, I think, there was a really good sort of a compromise type of suggestion that I think the majority of, the vast majority of the committee agreed with, and then to be able to bring it forward with that language.
All right, thank you.
More
Any
questions? Thank
other
you.
questions or comments here? All right, seeing none, we'll move to staff welfare. Dr. Massey?
We had a long conversation around a number of topics. Number one was an update on school district enrollment. October 1 is a relatively critical date in the school year when enrollment begins to settle in, and we can trust the enrollment numbers on October 1st. I'm happy to share that enrollment as of October 1st is sitting at 122 kids above our budgeted number. You'll recall that we spent almost a dozen years talking about declining enrollment, and 122 over our budgeted number also represents a similar enrollment number to the enrollment number we had last year. So we're beginning to turn the tide from declining enrollment to steady and increasing enrollment. That's with the backdrop of declining birth rates. You've heard me talk before about where our kids are coming from. We have kids coming back from charter schools, home schools, neighboring districts, and there's some development and even more development beginning to emerge across our community. So some exciting development and news there. With respect to the boundary changes that we put in place last spring, we're beginning to develop communication plans for in immersion families at Lino Lakes who will be going to Forest View, and communication to families who are scheduled to move from their current home elementary school to their new elementary school, needing to get early indications of which families are indeed planning to move, or would they open enroll to stay in their current school. We'll need that information as we get into our staffing work in January and February. So some early work developing there. We also talked about the strategic plan process, and there'll be an update here later in the meeting on that topic. We spent some time talking about branding, especially with Wyoming Elementary going through some bonding work, construction work this upcoming summer, some interior painting, an opportunity to begin to brand across our elementary schools our maroon and gold Ranger colors, Ranger logo, those kind of concepts, so that our outlying communities identify as Forest Lake area schools. We also talked about the importance of civic engagement, civil discourse, and when we look out into the audience, the number of folks that are online, we have a large degree of civic engagement and involvement, which is really exciting to the governance work that the board does. I'll share for my report some words that I shared with staff earlier this week. And again, at tonight's staff welfare meeting, we had a robust discussion around civic engagement and civil discourse. I would share the perspective that school board meetings and committee meetings are the place and time when the critical governance work of the school district takes place, and ideas are shared and discussed by community members and elected officials. It is through civil discourse that ideas are shared and policies are shaped and enacted. Civil debate assumes the difference in ideas and the opportunity to share one's point of view and to be heard by elected officials. This essential school district function must take place in an atmosphere and environment of trust, civility, and free from disruption. Recent board meetings have seen breaches of these fundamental principles of decorum with displays of obscene gestures and profanity. This behavior is inappropriate in the boardroom setting and demonstrates a poor example of the importance of civil discourse in the presence of the young people who attend these meetings. While the person has free speech rights, this conduct is counterproductive to the governance operation of the school district. Ideas and opinions matter and are important in the governance process. We have ample opportunity for public input. We encourage public input. We invite public input and public comment, and the board listens and through the green card process and the listening session. School board member email addresses are posted on the district's website, and engaging with your school board members is encouraged, easy to access, and engage with school board members. I encourage the community to continue to do that. School board meetings are also live streamed and recorded for the public to view and follow the work of the school board. I encourage staff and the community to remain engaged in the important work that takes place at school board meetings and participate in a manner that fosters respect, civility, and decorum during important school board proceedings. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Massey. Are there any questions or comments on staff welfare?
Well, very excited to hear the enrollment news. I mean, how many years have we sat around this table not hearing that? So that's exciting, and that's just proves that this district has been working hard at a lot of things and in a lot of areas. So that's to be celebrated. So thank you.
Yeah, I would concur with Member Tyson's statement there. When I first started on the school board, I remember getting these same reports and writing, minus 30 students or minus 20 students, or looking at projections of a negative 100 year over year. So it's really exciting to see that that trend is starting to reverse, and that we're seeing positive enrollment. I'd also like to thank Dr. Massey for his statements and his reminders on decorum, and at the same time, thank the audience here tonight. We have a large crowd, and This is incredible. We love the input, we love the involvement, and we love the support. And one thing that I would like to piggyback on Dr. Massey's comment there is just to add that I went through some business training years ago, and when you whittled it all down, the topic of the entire week-long training session for 40 hours was assume a positive intent with the people that you're working with. And I look through that lens when I look across, especially the boardroom or the board table, is I know that everybody that's sitting at this table, all 8 of us here, we have a positive intent for the students in our district. We want to do what's best for every single student. We want to do what's best for their academic future and their success. And I know that's true of every member here at the table. And I trust that's true of every individual here in the audience tonight. If you didn't care about the success of students, you wouldn't be here spending your Thursday night with us. We're a lot of fun, but we're not that fun. So I just think that's an important reminder for all of us, is just to remember that we're all in this together. We all have the same end goal in mind. We just might disagree on the strategy or how we go about getting there. And those are things that are best left for discussion. Like Dr. Massey mentioned, civil discussion and civil disagreement is okay. We're going to arrive at much better solutions. We've already seen evidence of that. It was brought up earlier about Member Haglund making the motion to reconsider on student groups. If he hadn't done that and then again voted against it just a few minutes later, our district would be a very different place right now. The report that we just got on policy 1801 and the student groups forming, that would have never occurred. But that was made possible through the assumption of positive intent and the willingness for this, well, the 7 voting members at the board table here, and Dr. Massey included, having the willingness to look through a disagreement and find a solution that worked for students. So that's all I really have to add to Dr. Massey's report. And that was a very long thank you, but I do appreciate it. So if there aren't any other comments or discussions on staff welfare, we could move to the superintendent search update. All right, I will provide the superintendent search update myself, and unfortunately I don't have a lot to share. I was really hoping tonight to bring some identified applicants to the board, but if you remember right, when we first authorized the superintendent search, we authorized it between myself and Member Haglund. And Member Haglund has been working on another issue that we're going to address here in 7.1. So what we ended up doing is we put out a public posting on our internal website to just see what kind of applicants we would get early in the process. It was set to expire yesterday. I asked our Human Resources Department to extend that to through December, and I'm hoping that we'll have another board member appointed by December, and we'll be at full strength, so to speak, so we can bring some of those applicants forward to the board and we can start having that discussion. What I can report on the applicants that we've received thus far is I have not yet had an opportunity to review any of the resumes, but I did recognize some of the names of the applicants that came in, and we have at least one really strong choice here, or a strong option for the future of our district. So it looks bright. As we start working through the month and as we figure out the process to fulfill the vacancy that we now have on our board, that we've received a resignation, we'll solidify the plans moving forward, maybe bring it back to the board and say, now how do we want to move now that we have different representation. Are there any questions on my report on superintendent search? Member Tyson.
So I have one question for you, Member Chair. I saw on the posting that it was going to your address and your email, or how did that work?
I'm not particularly sure how that worked. I just asked for the posting to be put up by Human Resources. I do know that my name was on it.
Okay.
And I think my email was on it. But I do know that any of the resumes that are submitted go into the system.
Okay.
And I have not seen any of the resumes. My preference with the resumes is that we would ask administration to first redact the personally identifiable information from their resumes so that we can give them a thorough review without really having any of that inherent bias of, seeing the name or seeing the school district they were associated with. And we can really look at their credentials first. So I'm really glad I haven't got, that I'm not directly receiving resumes, but as to the specifics of the posting, I really couldn't address that.
It's
Yeah.
Amplitrax and it goes right to HR.
Correct, it goes to
Okay.
HR, and like I said, my intent is to have most of that identifiable information retracted prior to reviewing it, so that we can look at these applicants purely on the merits.
Has that ever been done before? I've never heard of that.
I don't know if we've
Do you
done it here
know?
in the schools. It's one of the hiring practices I utilize in business, and it's really served us well. We end up with a list of really diverse and powerful candidates that we can select from after going through the interview process. So it's really been beneficial in my professional life.
Okay, did HR get to weigh in on that decision, or did you
Um,
just make that on your own?
That hasn't been made.
Okay,
I'm just
you're
sharing it with,
sharing that.
I'm just sharing that
Okay.
with you, as that would be my intent. But as we discussed this morning, I'd really like to have that seventh member appointed so that they can be part of that decision-making process. I think we owe that to our community.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you.
So, Member Atkinson, did you have a question, or did I inadvertently
I forgot
answer
already,
it?
between all the coughing and, I don't know, time. Yes, so you said you put it out internally. Did I miss something?
Oh.
At some point, does there go, do
What,
we?
what I meant by internally is it's on our internal HR system.
Yeah.
We have not engaged a search firm. So
Okay.
we haven't engaged like MSBA or I have had a number of different search options reach out to me. But I feel that if we're going to engage search, that needs to be a board decision.
Okay.
That shouldn't be something that
Sure.
either myself or Member Haglund just make that decision for the board. So
Okay.
that will come back.
So you said
Member
it's
Corcoran.
internal and external? I mean,
Yeah,
there's
yep,
external. So it's-
external candidates
Okay,
do have
sorry.
access to it, yeah. So when
Okay.
I said internally, I meant it's on our,
Mhm.
when you go to FLA schools and you click on it, it's there.
Okay.
But it's not advertised through like MSBA or through any of the executive search.
So you don't know how
companies
many
that we can.
internal candidates there are yet? Or you said there was a strong internal? but you
I
didn't
did
say-
recognize
Just curious. how
at
many.
least one of the names, and I do believe it was an internal candidate, and
Okay.
I feel would be a really good choice, and that's one of the reasons I'd like to see the
Yeah.
redacted resumes, because I don't want to look at it and go, I
see the
like,
name.
I like this name, I like what I know here, I really want to look at the merits of the applicants.
That's a good idea. Thank you.
So, yeah, Member
I just
Tyson.
thought of something. Could you clarify? I know Member Corcoran kind of asked this, but is it posted to MASA and MSBA's?
I don't believe so, unless they look at other districts and then they cross-post. But we are not paying anybody to post it for us at this moment. That I feel is more of a board decision.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, any other questions on the superintendent search? All right, seeing none, that will move us to the consent agenda. Is there any item on consent that any member would like to pull? All right, I would entertain a motion to approve 6.1 through 6.5.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed? All right, the motion carries. That brings us to action item 7.1, resolution accepting the resignation of a school board member. Member Haglund.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Board Chair Rebeline, please accept this letter as my official notice of resignation as a board member of Forest Lake Area Schools. I am grateful for the opportunity and trust the public has bestowed upon me to bring academic excellence, fiscal responsibility, and parents' rights back to Forest Lake Area Schools. I feel this board has made tremendous progress over the past 10 months in achieving those goals. However, due to relocating outside of the school district boundaries, I will not be able to serve the remainder of my term. I pray for God's continued guidance over Forest Lake Area Schools and the school board. My last day at Forest Lake Area Schools will be Thursday, October 23rd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m.
Thank you, Member Haglund. It pains me to do this, but I will move to accept the resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Member Atkinson.
Oh. Can I just say a few words?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to try
absolutely.
to get through this without, so multiple members here, and then Member Rebbeline did speak to, well, I'll just start from the beginning. I just want to take a moment to thank Member Hagland for his nearly 3 years of dedication and service on the Forest Lake School Board. I am grateful for his eye for detail, his courage to ask questions and speak openly on sensitive topics, and his willingness to compromise, collaborate, as opposed to serving his own interests. I think we've talked about it enough tonight.
Thank you.
The meeting in which, you know, the end result was the fact that we do have clubs in our high school and 8th graders to have that opportunity, and that is because of your willingness to compromise, and Julie as well, but this is about Luke. So anyway, I think that action alone speaks to the content of your character, Member Hagland, and I will miss your calm and steady presence on the board. I wish you and your family well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other discussion?
I concur.
Okay. Member Tyson.
Well, I just want to say, Member Haglund, school board is definitely a commitment. And I know it takes time away from your family, from our families, and you have the smaller children, that's not always easy. And we've had a lot of late meetings, so I'm always like, wow, he might not even see his kids, they'll be in bed. So anyway, I appreciate your commitment. You know, we've not always seen eye to eye. I appreciate when I broke my wrist. You're like, Gail, that's a story, I'm sure. But, you know, thank you, and I wish you well.
Thank you. Member Corcoran.
And I also wrote a little something here. I just wanted to thank Member Hagland for his years of service. As with your background in finance, it's added to the board by serving on finance and buildings and grounds, and you had a critical way of thinking, which always, you know, you looked at things a different way, just to explain it because of your background. And I do appreciate that. And it's never easy to resign a position that you're committed to. And I know it's never easy, but life changes and your family does come first. So I do value that, and I wish you all the best in your years to come.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Member Christensen.
Yeah, I also just wanted to say to Member Hagelin that serving on a school board takes time and energy, dedication. We may have had different perspectives at times, but I want to thank you for your service, and I wish you and your family well.
All right, thank you, Ella. I didn't prepare any statements. I'm a terrible friend, but I will say what a lot of people don't recognize or realize, because Luke and I have worked together and worked with one another on the school board here since being elected. We didn't know one another until, oh gosh, the day or two after I put my name in for the election. So we've really only known each other for a couple of years, and I'm honored now. I mean, he was my colleague a few years ago when we first took our seats, and now I feel very honored to call him my friend. And I think there's other individuals on the board here that can share a similar statement of not knowing Member Hagelin, but getting to know him over the last few years. We've worked hand in hand quite a bit the last 3 years on the board, and I'm really going to miss that. I'm going to miss our conversations, not just about the school board, but about you know, some of the medical trials and tribulations that I experience in my life, and some of the things with just having kids and growing up, and how do you move a tractor across the state, things like that. So I'll miss those discussions just as much, and I'm sure we'll remain connected. And as I mentioned earlier, this is kind of a painful motion for me, but I think it's the right call. So if we don't have any other comments, I'd ask Member Clerk to please take the roll call.
Okay. All right, Member Castle.
Aye.
Member Hagland.
Abstain.
Member Tyson. Aye. Member Rebbeline.
Aye.
Member Corcoran.
Aye.
Member Christensen.
Aye.
And Member Antonsen votes aye. The ayes have it.
All right, the motion carries. That brings us to action item 7.2, determine the process and timeline for filling a school board vacancy. I'll kick that off. Minnesota State Statute 123B.09 subdivision 3 states that a school board member vacancy occurs when a member resigns. Having accepted Member Hagelin's resignation, the legal requirement for a vacancy has now been met. Subdivision 5B of the same statute continues. Any vacancy on the board must be filled by a board appointment at a regular or special meeting. The appointment must be evidenced by a resolution. If the vacancy occurs less than 2 years prior to the expiration of the term, the appointee of the board shall serve the remainder of the unexpired term. Because Member Hagelin's term is due to expire in approximately 14 months, we will begin this process by establishing a method to appoint another individual to the board. I would open this discussion by saying, let's first establish a date and a time for a special meeting. Does anybody have a proposal for that to occur next week?
Do we need a motion to hold a special meeting?
We will, but
Okay.
we have a lot of discussion items before we determine the motion, so. Yeah,
May I
Member
ask what
Christensen.
What will happen at this meeting?
The special meeting will be to potentially appoint an individual or to, we'll carry that out in the remainder of our discussion here.
Well, I just wonder if, before we do that, we maybe should talk about the process, because if the plan is to appoint someone next week, I mean, that doesn't give anyone time if we want to have a more extensive, transparent process.
Well, per statute, we are to appoint an individual at a regular or special board meeting
But I mean-
via resolution.
But that has to be next week, or that
So
could be?
November 6th, the main meeting of the month?
It could be. I do have some concerns when I look at the dates on this, and this is why I would propose a special meeting. If we wait until November 6th, and the resolution is not valid for 30 days, that pushes us out. Let me do the math here. That would be 28, 29, 30. If my quick math here is correct, it pushes it out to Saturday, 12/6 before the appointment would become a active member of the board, which is past our 12/4 board meeting. As Director Remberg-Eide mentioned, that is our Truth and Taxation meeting. So we'll be finalizing the levy that night. I think that's an important piece. We have a committee meeting on I believe, November 20th. For finance, Member Hagelin is part of that committee as well, that will prep for Truth and Taxation. And as we just discussed, we have a superintendent search, and we also have the recommendation of a strategic plan. I think we just have a lot of pieces in place to really push this out that far. Conversely, if we were to hold a special meeting on any evening next week, including Friday the 31st, the resolution would become an active member of the board prior to December. On the last date that would occur would be December either 29th or 30th, depending on how those days are counted, which would make them available as a full serving and voting member on the 4th. So that is why I would recommend we have a special meeting next week. I know that in conversations with Dr. Massey, he mentioned that staff would be available on Thursday the 30th. In discussions with other board members, though, it sounds like there might be some conflicts on that date. Are there dates that would work better, or does the 30th work?
Again, I feel like we're kind of putting the cart before the horse, because if we're just anointing someone, then next week works fine. But if we're going to be asking for community involvement and applications, then next week doesn't work. So I guess I'm reticent to agree to a meeting next week if I don't know the process first.
Okay, so are you suggesting that, well, what process are you suggesting?
Well, I
let me
did go
start with
back
that.
and I found a policy that the school district used to have, policy 515. It was the last date on it that I could find was 2001, so I realize it's not in effect anymore, but it is termed school board vacancies. Purpose of this policy is to determine the process for filling a vacancy that occurs, blah, blah, blah. And this is what it said at the time. The vacancy shall be advertised, I'm making this shorter here, the vacancy shall be advertised, the vacancy shall include instructions on application. Each board member will be provided copies of application materials. Each board member may select one candidate to be interviewed. Up to 6 applicants may be interviewed. Final selection will be a resolution at a regular board meeting. The school board member-elect will be administered the oath of office, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, and not only this, but I looked and kind of tried to look up where this has happened recently. In Robbinsdale, this just happened recently, resignation of a board member. They did have an application and an interview process. Columbia Heights, they did appoint someone, but it was the former board chair, someone obviously familiar with the school board procedures. So I just feel really strongly that there should be some process that a community member should be able to apply. And there should be some sort of an interview. I mean, I think all of us up here went through the campaign, went through the interviews, questions, you know, League of Women Voters, all the things, Chamber of Commerce, all the things. And we had to sit up there and answer questions, and so people knew who we are, who we were, knew what we stood for. And so I just feel super, super strongly that we cannot just appoint someone. We already, I feel like, although, I mean, you know, to be clear, you could, you know, there's not something in the statute that says exactly what you have to do. I understand that, but I just feel like this would just really trigger a lot of distrust in our community if a certain group anoints someone that they know and that the community at large doesn't really know, hasn't really had experience with. And I just feel like that's just going to do a disservice to the person who is announced, because that person might be looked upon, whether they are not worthy is not the word, but whether they are qualified, they might be a really great person to do this. But I feel like by just anointing them, then people might be like, well, geez, how did that person get it? Is there some favoritism going on? Who knows this person? How did this person, you know, there's a wealth of people in the community, former board members perhaps. Also recently at the city council, Mayor Roberts had a seat, and then he was elected the mayor, and so that's what they did. They did an application procedure or process, and they had interviews. And I just feel really strongly about that, and it's going to go a long ways to build trust in the community if that's the way we do it. If we just go anoint someone, I think that's going to be a problem.
That's
So.
your support, Member Tyson.
So I guess what I'm looking for is doing it historically how our board has done it before. We've done this twice. We've had 2 vacancies that we filled, and we've done the application process. And I think it's really important that the person gets vetted appropriately by our 7-member board, and the process is fulfilled and we're agreeing upon together to create that trust. And I want to thank the board chair for removing what was supposed to be an appointment tonight, because I think we want to be very transparent in who's selected. We want to get to know them. We want to know what their perception of the district is and how we can have shared common goals. So I would like to see us do a process much what Member Christensen talked about, where we take applications and we find out who in the community is interested. And I think that'll bring a lot of value and stability to the board. I think it'll bring a person on board that will be comfortable and will be able to fit right in. I think if we do it a different route, where we're kind of ramrodding someone, they're going to be uncomfortable, and our community will push back on that. So.
And Member Corcoran.
Well, I actually asked Joy to look up, so in 2006, Keith Dunham lived here, and he actually moved out of state, just like you are doing, Luke. And we had 5 candidates that were interviewed, and that's when Dan Kieger got appointed. And so I was part of that, and I was involved with the whole thing. It was ran wonderfully, and we had a lot of great candidates, all different kinds of candidates, and he did get the position, and then he did run again after that ended. But I think it just, it was really good to get a diverse group. And like I said, you know, we're gonna have differing opinions, so let's get someone that's more, that we can both get behind, as far as someone that's gonna be level-headed, kind of looking at things in different perspectives, and there's a lot of people like that out there. So we just need to make sure that we give the community, have a chance to get to know the people, and I believe it's better for that person too. Like I know Scott, I mean, I did talk to him, I can't say anything either way, but I just don't think it is fair for him to come on board like that. I don't think he would get the support that he would need from the community also.
Okay.
So that would be best for us.
Just a quick question, do you know how long that application, interview, appointment, then 30-day wait? Because this statute's changed a half a
Yeah.
dozen times since
Well,
2006.
Well, it says, he resigned on May 25th, and Dan Keeger was appointed August 3rd.
Okay, so to just over
Because you got the
2
30
months,
days
2.5
in there.
months, yeah.
So it maybe takes a month, you know, to do the interviews and get people lined up, and then another third, so within a couple months.
Which puts us into January or February. And that's my biggest concern with
Yeah.
doing an application process versus an appointment. I did look at this extensively, and to see what other districts have done, what city councils have done. It seems like the most favored option is to go to the highest unelected vote getter of the most recent election, because you know that that person has community support, you know that that person has been fully vetted by the community. In fact, that is what Spring Lake Park did just 2 years ago when Senator Michael Caroon won his resounding victory for Senate, is they went back and they appointed the next highest vote getter. They actually did that pretty much immediately following the election. Senator Caroon was still a board member when they made that appointment, and he was able to serve through the end of the year. I don't remember the individual's name who took that position, but there is legal precedent for an outgoing board member to vote on their replacement and to select their replacement. It's been done several times, both in city councils and on school boards. So there is no legal question about moving to an appointment, even an appointment that Member Hagelin was able to vote on. But that's my biggest concern about the application process. Member Tyson.
Yeah, and I see where you're thinking it's getting down, it's getting out there in ways. And I know that you looked at the MSBA's rules,
Yep.
kind of their scenarios and what to do with the less than 2 year vacancy. But one thing on here is that, and I don't know if everybody's aware, that there's that 30-day waiting period. So once we appoint someone, there's a 30-day waiting period, and there can be a petition that garners X amount of votes on that petition, and then, you know, we cannot appoint that person if it meets that threshold of votes, of names on the petition. The other thing I wanted to mention is Member Christensen had one policy, I have the other one, it's 115 in the 100s. And if you remember back in the fall, all of these were committed, so they're gone. So we don't have a policy on this. And I do agree with Member Chair that they are outdated. This one is 3501. But again, it states kind of how our district has historically done that, and that the vacancy shall be advertised using the same procedure as used for public notices of school board meetings, included printed in official district newspaper and posting at the school district offices. I mean, it goes on, there's 6
Yep.
points, but.
Yeah, and we spoke to that.
Just so everyone's aware of the 30-day.
Yeah, and actually, when we rescinded those policies, there was 2 policies that we had for appointing a board member vacancy, and neither of them were consistent with state law. In fact, when I look at the Minnesota statute 123B.09, there have been 8 revisions on that just since 2015. So for whatever reason, the legislature likes to make adjustments to this statute quite often, which I think is why MSBA went away from their guidance on recommending a policy on this because it's just easier to refer back to statute and what is in effect at the time that
Well, I think the
you're going
statute
through it.
allows for us to have the authority over it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the statute does not give us any declarative requirement or process to do this. All it states is that an appointment must be made.
But we know in 1960, there was an Attorney General opinion out there too, so.
The 1960 Attorney General position goes back to whether or not an individual could vote for their successor.
Right.
And there's some debate over that because, like I said, the precedent that's gone on countless times. I found a half a dozen to a dozen just on a cursory search over the last couple of years. So there is legal precedent for doing that. That isn't the suggestion tonight. I don't think we're going to leave this evening with a appointed individual for the board. But Member Christensen.
Well, I would also like to say, I mean, I know you keep coming back to that it might take a while, or the timeline, and I would say with all the important things that we have coming up with the superintendent search, with our strategic plan, with all these important things that we have coming up, I think we should take the time and get it right. We're not in a hurry, there's no rush, there's no deadline. I really think the community would be best served for us to take our time and do it right.
Would you like to see if there's a majority opinion on seeking applications? I'm okay with that.
Sure. I would.
All right, we'll vote then. I'll just ask all those in favor who would like to seek applications, just say aye. And,
Aye.
well, hold on, I'm just setting it up, sorry. And if we end up with a majority of 4 of us, we'll do that. Otherwise, we'll just assume that we're going to work down the appointment process. Does that seem reasonable?
Can we have a roll call vote? So that we...
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the question on the table is, all those in favor of going down to the application process to fulfill the vacancy, vote in the affirmative. And Member Clerk.
Okay. Member Castle.
Aye.
Member Rebelline.
No.
Member Christensen.
Aye.
Member Antonsen votes no. Member Haglund.
No.
Member Corcoran.
Aye.
Member Tyson.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
All right, we were looking at the application process then. Unless there's we can lay the motion to reconsider on the table, and then we need to set a timeline for applications, so we would have to have a special meeting to set up and request applications.
Should we revisit reviving one of these policies, or do we just want to make it up as we go? You know, what are your thoughts?
I would say let's make it up as we go, see how it works, if this is what we're doing, because otherwise I'm gonna wait for that to come through, because it's gotta go to
Well,
policy
yeah.
committee and all that business,
Right.
because let's just work with the ideas. That's my
So-
thoughts.
Are we trying to, what are we trying to get to? Trying to get to it tonight, or do you want to do a special meeting to talk about it?
Well,
next
we
week?
have a special meeting to, because we're going to have to set up the applications,
Yeah.
we're going to have to set up a deadline for applications. We're
I'll
gonna
make a
have to-
motion for a special meeting
Mhm.
next week.
Yeah, well, that kind of gets back to my original question of
Work on that.
what date works.
Well, it'd be great if it wasn't Halloween.
Yeah,
I will say that.
I would make
because
a motion, can we
Yeah,
make
yeah,
it
pass
for,
out candy.
yeah, I would make a motion to, I mean, for me, Monday night, I know we had mentioned is Monday night.
We need
is
a
it too
3-day
soon?
posting
We need a
period.
3-day posting.
Okay.
Okay, so
So
we're
if
looking
we-
at from Tuesday to Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we've already kind of
Tuesday.
pressed up against Friday and said no.
Mhm.
So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Dr. Massey mentioned that staff was available on Thursday. I know,
I'm not.
I see the cringe from
I'm
Member
not,
Corcoran. I think
yeah.
her,
Can't.
she has a challenge there.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody
Wednesday-
else have a
Wednesday
strong?
night,
Wednesday.
Wednesday night works for me, and we cannot do Halloween because hopefully the football team will be
That's-
playing that night.
That's
so
right,
we're not
right.
doing Halloween.
I
could do,
move for Tuesday, the 28th.
So Tuesday, does anybody else have a conflict on Tuesday, the 28th?
Tuesday does not I can do Wednesday and Thursday, and I could, well,
Thursday works for me as
it
well.
doesn't work for you. Can we do like a afternoon meeting or something? Like when we did the strategic plan, we did it at like 4.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there.
I don't know if there's guidance on that. I know that
5?
some meetings are really specific about 6 PM, like truth and taxation. I don't know if our board, regular board meetings or special meetings have
Do
that
5 on Thursday. then.
same requirement.
I'm sorry, Member Chair.
Oh,
Oh,
Tell 'em.
I could do 5 o'clock on Thursday.
Great.
on Thursday?
Mm-hmm. If that works for everyone.
Do we know if there's a legal binding on?
I'm not
5
aware of a
o'clock on
legal
Thursday.
bind on that.
Okay, let me look at that Thursday night.
Other boards have their regular meetings at 5.
Okay, then we should be
Mhm.
fine with a 5 o'clock meeting.
Okay.
Check my schedule.
What
I-
day are we on there then?
We're looking at Thursday, the 30th.
Oh,
Yeah, so if members want to
Sure,
check their
yeah.
calendars and see if they're available on the 30th.
I'm available. but-
I'm available.
I'll
And
make
at
myself
5, correct?
available. You're welcome.
at 5?
That's okay.
Okay.
Member Chair.
Yeah,
at
5
p.m.
5 o'clock on Thursday in the boardroom here.
Okay.
All right, in that case, I'll move to establish a special board meeting of the school board scheduled for Thursday, October 30th at 5 PM in the Forest Lake Area School District Office to solely address the process of or the election process of how do I want to word that? Sorry. I gotta the application
select-
process.
Application and timeline.
All right, so I'll move to establish a special meeting of the board scheduled for October 30th at 5 PM in the Forest Lake Area School District Office to solely address the application process for a new school board member. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Do we want to have any discussion on that? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Do you want to abstain?
Yeah, I'll abstain from that one.
Okay. Joy, make a note that member Haglund abstained there.
Could I just make a quick remark?
Yeah.
I just want to thank, I'm very happy that the chair decided to change course this evening.
I concur.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. That will bring us to action item 7.3, approved 2024 to 2026 Technology Specialists Agreement. Dr. Massey.
This agreement represents the final agreement within the classified groups, and this agreement is consistent with the other classified agreements with a $100 increase in dependent coverage in the second year of the agreement, and wage increases of 3% in each of the 2 years of the agreement. And with that, administration recommends approval.
All right, entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Member Tyson.
I do have a couple of questions for the superintendent. I was reading over this, and when I got to the wages portion, how do we compare to other districts?
For this position, across all of our classifieds, it's consistent,
Is
that
it?
we are,
And how
as
many
in,
in this group then?
there are less than a dozen.
Okay,
Yep.
so this is the classified portion of the
Correct.
technology group?
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other discussion? All right, seeing none, Member Clerk, please take the roll call.
Okay. Member Corcoran.
Aye.
Member Tyson.
Aye.
Member Christensen.
Aye.
Member Antonsen votes aye. Member Castle.
Aye.
Member Rebbeline.
Aye.
And Member Haglund.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
All right, that brings us to action item 7.4, job description for superintendent schools, proposed policy 1304A. Dr. Massey.
This is updated language in our policy series, including language from the Minnesota School Boards Association you'll see with the red line in this document. So this would be adopting essentially Minnesota School Board Association language on this policy.
Yep, and I will add to that, the red lines that are on here are based primarily on policy number 201, which is our existing policy. So the motion on this would be to rescind policy 201. Well, so I will move to rescind policy 201 and replace it with policy 1304A. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, policy, action item 7.5, Administrator Code of Ethics, proposed policy 1306.
You'll see in this policy on the first page, the item B, 2.B, educational administrator, you'll see a series of 10 different components related to that. Those come straight from the Minnesota statute related to Code of Ethics. Then you'll see item 2B, items 1 through 12, not 1 through 10 on the second page. And then the item 4 and 5 speaks to complaints and enforcement procedures. That language is also from the rules related to the statute pertaining to this provision for Code of Ethics. These items are really referencing the Board of School Administrators, not our local school board. So I would recommend that we commit this back to policy to provide that clarification in the policy so that we're really clear that these provisions point to the Board of School Administrators, not necessarily the local school board.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that's a really important distinction here, that we just want to make sure we have crystal clear within the policy.
So that Board of School, can you just say it one
Yeah,
more
the
time?
Board of School Administrators
So-
governs is the licensing agency, state agency
Okay.
for school
At the
administrators.
state level?
Correct.
Gotcha, okay. Well, that was not how I read that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so, and
I appreciate
we
that.
just don't need ambiguity on
Yeah,
this part.
right, exactly.
No, in that case, I'll make a motion to commit.
Second.
Second,
We
yeah.
have a motion and a second to commit. Any additional discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that motion carries. Brings us to 8.1. It's noted as a first reading and the recommendation of the strategic plan to school board members, subcommittees to full board. I can make that report being a member of that subcommittee. Member Christensen and Member Antonsen also joined me on that, so they can hopefully help me supplement this. But it's going to, my recommendation is going to fall pretty much in line with the superintendent search update. We spent some time discussing this with MSBA and what their recommendations were, especially with the hiring of a new superintendent. And this wasn't even part of the calculus a few days ago, or a few weeks ago, but now that we have a board member turnover occurring here, that they were recommending some sort of a facilitated discussion with the MSBA to help us determine what our 2 or 3 primary goals are of the district, and then to adopt that as our strategic plan for a short term, as say a 2 or a 3-year strategic plan. And that would be a part of an aid to onboard a new superintendent, rather than giving them a very extensive 10 goal with 30 sub-goal type strategic plan. They would have something to really zero in on. We were originally going to recommend that discussion to occur with MSBA sometime in mid-December or early January. Depending on how the application process and appointment process works of a new board member, though, we would have we would only have 6 of a 7-member board. So my personal recommendation would be that this, similar to the superintendent search update, essentially fall on or go on hold until we're able to get back to full strength and move forward. So that would be my update on that. Member Christensen, do you have anything to add?
Well, I was also just going to add Gail Gilman.
Yes.
From MSBA. She was really helpful. We, Member Antonsen Chair Rebline and myself and Dr. Massey and some others. She just had some really great points. I mean, first of all, they are very busy, and
They are.
I think she said they were 6 to 9 months out, which actually works very well with our time frame. And also, she had a really good point that I wasn't thinking about. I don't know if you guys were, but you know, to really get the new superintendent to be able to have input on that strategic plan. She really, I'm looking for, I don't see it here in my notes, but basically she said, you know, you really don't want to have a new superintendent and then go, here's your strategic plan.
Yeah.
You know, she really recommended superintendent first, followed by the strategic plan. And also she recommended, what was the, not a quiz.
I don't recall what it was called. That's why I said kind of a facilitated
Like an
discussion.
interim, or, I don't know.
No, she
either.
said
The
we're
school
supposed to take
board
a
eva-
board, what did she call it?
the
A
board evaluation.
Thank you, a board
Oh,
evaluation.
yes.
Okay, thank you,
So
yeah.
she also suggested we take a board evaluation, and then I guess I'm not sure, but some of the
Yes.
information, maybe Dr. Massey could help,
Yep.
some of the information that comes out of that.
It's part of
Would
the
help us
process.
Yeah.
focus.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She was super, super
done it
helpful.
before.
Yeah.
I would encourage the other 3 board members that weren't part of that to go back and review it. We did
Yeah, look at
record
that.
it, we did stream it. So I'd go back and review her recommendation. And we have ample time to do that now, so that would be my recommendation there. But we have any other, Member Tyson?
One quick question, a conversation following up I had
Yeah.
with you, Member Chair. You said that you were possibly suggesting Barb Dorn come and do a remote.
Oh, it would be Gail.
Informational,
Yeah, it would be Gail.
or Gail
Yeah.
Gilman, either one of them can do, because you weren't sure if, you know, some of the new members understood the process, but maybe
Correct.
are
Yep.
you still planning on doing that?
I was thinking that would be the right way to go, but as I stated earlier, I think we want to get that 7th board member
Okay, wait till then.
in seat
Yeah.
before we would go about doing that.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, yeah, good idea though.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea to do that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So you have that informational, but when we did the superintendent search for Superintendent Steve Massey, we used them, and you do a full board evaluation, you kind of do some in and out boxes, and find out what you're looking for individually, and what your strengths are, and what strengths and
Oh, you
goals you're
you
setting.
pivoted to superintendent. I thought we were still talking strategic plan. But yeah, the same would
same.
apply. Yeah, the
But
same
the
would apply.
same-
We want to get
same
that 7th board
applies.
member seated, and then
Yeah.
we'll go forward
I
on
get
that
that. I
as
didn't know
well.
if you had already
Yeah.
done the informational remote with them on that, but.
No.
Just
I
following
just
up.
had a private one-on-one conversation with them to
Okay.
kind of figure out what our options were.
Okay.
And just in light of a resignation, we'll put that on hold as well.
Yeah.
All right, if we don't have anything to add here, but before we move to adjournment, since we talked about the truth in taxation and some of the big things that we have going up in finance, and with Member Haglund being a member of finance, I attended that forum this evening, but I think it's really important that we have our treasurer there and we have another dedicated board member. I would like to actually make a motion that Member Corcoran leave whatever committee it was we assigned her to at 7 p.m. and take Member Haglund's place on finance.
Second.
Effective immediately.
I'd second that.
That'd be great, thank you.
Double
All right,
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that, or did my preamble kind of set the table for that one? All right, Member Corcoran, I should ask, are you willing
Yeah,
to
no,
make that shift?
I'd love to be back on, yeah, I think that would be,
Okay.
I would like that.
I think that would be extremely beneficial to the district, and I recommend you for that role because I know you'll be able to slide back into it, and the transition will be very simple for you. You'll be able to get caught up with Director Remberg-Eide relatively quickly.
Yeah.
I just think that's the prudent thing to do.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that.
All right, if we don't have any additional discussion on that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. All right, Member Corcoran, you have a new appointment here for at least 2 more months before we go into the organizational meeting, and with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.